brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. Now it's sippin' time.
Hello and welcome to this Sips episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. As always, we are the best thing on at 2 a.m. This is a 1 hour show, but now that we're well into season 7, we've pretty much given up trying to be entertaining more than 20 minutes. So it's not going to get any better, guys. 7 years and it's still exactly the same, but it's up to you.
We've done 22 minutes before, dude.
It's up to you, the listener, to figure out which of the next 52 minutes constitutes that 20 minutes of entertainment. It's like Easter. They're hidden. You got to dig them out and you got to find them.
We're like that Easter egg you find the year afterwards.
Yeah, filled with cockroaches.
That's what's good about being old and hiding Easter eggs. You go out there, you hide them, and then 5 minutes later, you don't know where you put them. So it's like finding them again.
Okay, that joke landed very flat.
Yeah, this is Made Man Bob. Joining me today, our Made Man Brent.
It's a pleasure to be here. I love that you got the hockey game on for us so we can watch today.
Put your toque back on. It's cold in here. All right, Made Man Maury.
Good morning, Bob. I love the Canadian theme in the basement. The Maple Leafs are overpowering and overwhelming.
Good old boy, Justin.
Good morning, Bob. Love the Molson. Good touch.
And good old boy, Harmeet.
Take off, eh? Pass me Moosehead.
All right, well, Brent, Maury, and myself are with the Bourbon Mafia, and the Bourbon Mafia is a nonprofit organization composed of bourbon enthusiasts and industry professionals.
Industry?
Yeah, industry.
Yeah. You said
Those
industry.
two.
Yeah. Clear out your ears. With representation in 8 states, our members combine a love of bourbon with a passion for charitable work. The group uses their love of our native spirit to raise money for local and national charities through rare bottle auctions and other themed events. Check us out on Facebook at The Bourbon Mafia. Our show is also sponsored in part by Fine Wine and Spirits in Cooper City, Florida,
No,
home
it's not.
of the Enigmatic
Not
Machines.
You can't. I'm not sponsoring the show anymore. It's
Thank God. Thank God.
All right, I'm done with that.
We're done with that one.
All right, moving on. Our show is also sponsored in part by the Fort Lauderdale Whiskey Society. To find out more about the society and their events, visit them at ftlws.com.
Just come to Fort Lauderdale and drink with us. We're the society.
People actually
How
drink
many members
in
now,
Fort Lauderdale?
Bob? 500?
What?
The
The
Fort Lauderdale
society?
Society?
Like 1,200.
Is it 1,200?
We're 500. We're way over 1,000.
I need to come more and meet people.
As Carl Sagan says, millions and millions.
All right. Well, our Sips episodes are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, and coffee. And today's show, we're going to be traveling up to the Great White North.
I was waiting.
And tasting some Canadian whiskeys. So,
I love that show.
I miss that show. So here's a list of the whiskeys we're going to be tasting today. We have Lot 40 Canadian Rye whiskey. We have Gooderham and Worts 4-grain Canadian whiskey. Pike Creek 10-year-old rum finished Canadian whiskey. J.P. Weiser's Triple Barrel blended Canadian Rye. J.P. Weiser's 15-year Canadian whiskey. And J.P. Weiser's 18-year Canadian whiskey.
There's a lot of Canadian whiskeys out here. This J.P. Weiser people took a half. We should get some more Canadian whiskeys. I'm ready to drink more Canadian whiskey, man.
You couldn't get through 6 of them. What are you talking
I'll
about?
drink more. Bring me
All
more.
right, so we're going to have Justin give us a little bit of background on our Sips ratings.
Take off, you hosers. I'm about to give her the Sips
Don't wreck our
ratings.
show, you hoser.
1. Give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth.
That was sad.
Water.
I'm not saying anything.
Bring water. Bring water.
2. Nice. But what else do you have?
Well, isn't that nice?
3 sips. Interesting. What was this again?
Interesting.
4 sips. Let's keep this secret to ourselves. Pour me another.
It's become Scottish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always
Canadian accents is more subtle.
5 sips. Oh my. I was unaware anything could be this good.
A.
Oh my goodness.
Yes! 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 Yes!
I'm just sitting here in stunned silence.
I don't know what to tell you.
Thank God you have the hockey game on in the background.
I just
Take off.
yeah, that's
Take
all.
off, eh?
Yeah. All right. So is Harm's the only person who's actually lived in Canada until
10 years in Winnipeg, my friends. Winterpeg.
10 years in
That was a
Winnipeg.
sentence.
Let's just say, it was that
This
that
is why
probation
I'm so
lasted
bitter
a
to this
long
day. It's
time.
seasonal affective disorder that never goes away.
As soon as he got near the border, that thing on his ankle started beeping really loud. He had to haul butt back. So
Yeah. I actually had a maple leaf on my car in high
Was it-
school, eh?
unlawful knowledge of a moose, I think, was what it was.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not unlawful. It's just frowned
Well, the
upon.
moose was over 18, so
That's right.
Right.
All right. Well, tell us a little about Canadian whiskey.
Canadian whiskey. Well, a little background here, kids. Traditionally, Canadian whiskey's production differs from what we're used to in the United States. Typically in America, a distiller will blend the grains before production, creating a mash bill. And typically the mixture of corn, malt, and flavoring grains such as rye or wheat is what we use. This mix is then cooked, fermented, distilled, and matured to make a whiskey. In Canadian whiskey, or traditionally speaking in Canada, the grains are cooked and fermented and distilled and matured separately, ending up with many different whiskeys that are blended together to create a flavor profile that the master blender is aiming for. The Hiram Walker distillery is an example of a distillery that still uses traditional production style. Although many associate rye with Canadian whiskey, especially old Canadian men ask me for rye all the time, and they mean Canadian whiskey. And they're wrong, because it would not qualify as rye in America. Because in America, rye has to be 51% rye. That's not the way it is. So these grains, the way it is in Canada, they just blend it separately and they mix it. And rye is the primary flavor, and they do it differently too. That they're not using a pot still, using column stills, the way we here make vodka. So the spirit's completely different. And they usually the new make spirit is distilled to over 90% ABV and diluted and blended again. It's placed into barrels at between 68 and 74% ABV.
Which is much higher than legally allowable for bourbon.
Yeah, in bourbon, the maximum ABV is off the still is 80%, and then the maximum barrel proof is 62% ABV. But most people are a little bit less, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, and one interesting bit of history is that Canada was the first nation to actually have legal requirement for the aging of whiskey. In 1887, the law was passed to require Canadian whiskey to have a minimum age of at least 1 year. In 1890, the requirements became 2 years, and in 1974, that requirement was increased to 3 years, along with the requirement that it be aged in oak barrels no larger than 700 liters. That's a very good requirement, too, by the way. Though most Canadian whiskey is aged in barrels that are around 200 liters. In Canada, like Scotland, they also use new virgin oak barrels and used oak barrels, and they're allowed to add coloring. The other interesting note is due to the climate of Canada, the warehouses where the barrels are stored for aging need to be heated to ensure that the fire sprinklers don't freeze.
True that.
Yeah. So it's not like in Kentucky. It's just all out there, just year round. No, we actually have to heat them up.
All right. So we're going to have Maury tell us a little bit about our first whiskey.
Thank you, Bob. First whiskey today that we'll be reviewing is the Lot Number 40 Canadian Rye Whiskey at 43% ABV. This is a 100% rye whiskey that has been single column distilled and then pot distilled and aged in virgin American oak. The pot distillation is done over a period of 12 hours, which is unusually long. They do this so that the distiller can make more accurate cut points on the distillate. So, echoing on what Harmeet said, the production is generally rather different than in America, but this one is, again, a little more similar to what we're used to in that it is a rye, and it is 100%
There is
rye.
pot still involvement.
There's some pot still involvement. There's also column still. A lot of our American bourbons are column distilled, but there's certainly some of each. And this is a very nice whiskey. It's got a beautiful mahogany to copper color. On the nose, it's got traditional rye notes, along with vanilla, baking spice, creme brulee, etc. It's got a very nice palate. I would say the flavor profile is a little bit on the light side. a nice, what I would consider to be an entry-level rye. It's pleasant. There's nothing offensive about it. You get similar notes on both the palate and on the nose, and it has a short to medium finish. Overall, a very nice job. And again, for American palate, it's a nice whiskey in that it is 100% rye, and it's not a blend. Brent, what'd you think?
I'm very surprised that it's 100% rye, because you don't get that bold spiciness to it. This is
No, you do not.
You don't get it. And I think that's because it's down at that 43% ABV, very much entry level, toned down.
Have you guys revisited it? Because I'm not getting the same notes. I just had.
I just revisited. I had some almonds and pepper and vanilla on there, and
I think it's gotten better as it's
It
creaminess,
has gotten better.
A nice little creaminess
Got a
to
little
it.
more
and stuff.
creamier, but it really didn't make a dramatic improvement.
And I guess just because with the American Rye, you think about American Rye, you think about that bold spice.
I'm getting a lot of black pepper now. I didn't get before.
Yeah, you don't have that boldness that this has, even though it's 100% rye. It's I got a nice creaminess
it's a different
to
whiskey,
it.
though.
It's a nice whiskey. Oh, it's
you
a very
can't compare it to 100% rye made in Kentucky or Indiana, because it's made in Canada. It's a completely different style whiskey. You're not going to get what you're thinking of rye and something like that.
Exactly, but that's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to incorporate and telling people that, to express that. It's a toned down version of what you expect. So you can't go in there thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get this rye and I'm going to have all these bold."
Well, I suspect that it's the high proof point coming off the still. You lose a lot of that rye character, and then you're putting it into the barrel, and now you're getting more barrel character and a whole lot less rye character.
That's a good point, Maury. Really good point. I don't like saying that you're right.
Well,
but that was a really good damn.
Well, again, they take it off the still traditionally much higher than we do. I mean, we have a legal limit, but hardly anybody goes to that point. I mean, once you go past 180, it's vodka. So, we'll be back. And we're back, and we are talking Canadian. So we are talking about the lot number 40 Canadian Rye whiskey. So what did the rest of you guys think about it?
Justin?
Well, when I originally had it right out of the bottle, it was pretty tight, very high rye flavor to it. It mellowed out with some air, and it got creamier. And the finish got to be like buttery, spicy. It's pretty
very
decent.
creamy and very buttery. Yes.
What else did you think, Brent?
That's what I had on the creamy and buttery, and I didn't not as much boldness.
We were just talking off the air. I think that we agree that's like that. It's coming off the still at 90 proof. You're losing some of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still thought it was appealing. I got orange, and none of you guys mentioned any flower notes. I got rose petals, especially with a drop of water, a little cinnamon. When I first tasted it, it was hot, but again, the air brought it down some. I did get the black pepper, but it's, again, not that huge punch in the face. I think this may be a more approachable rye for Canadian people or Americans who wanted to try rye, who are afraid of American rye.
Very much an entry-level rye, especially at the proof.
Entry level sounds like you're denigrating it. It's more of a beginner's rye. A beginner. Entry level is like, it's like you're, I don't know, maybe they're the same thing.
Yeah, it's like called beginner.
By a thesaurus.
A rye for beginning rye drinkers. How's that?
I wouldn't say there's training wheels on this rye. How's that?
Well, you got to remember, Canadian was the preferred palate of this country for 50 years. And that's precisely why, because it is,
more approachable.
It's more approachable, goes well in a cocktail. If you're drinking over ice, it's not going to, make your eyes squint or anything. That was what they wanted for the longest time. So that's just sort of the nature of Canadian whiskey.
Did you enjoy it, Bob?
I liked it. I got caramel on the nose. I got some orange peel. I got a little bit of dill on the back, some vanilla, and then on the palate.
Until you said it, I couldn't identify it. You're right, it's dill.
Yeah. And it's, it's MGP. I always get dill out of a lot of MGP, and I'm getting it out of this, which I don't know. But it's very flowery on the nose, and on the palate, it's very flowery. And I get some pepper, and I get that brown sugar and vanilla. I get a little bit of a citrus note. And hold on.
It's got a little hit of citrus on the back palate, for sure.
Now you said dill, I'm getting that dill more and more.
Yeah, and then a little bit of
Power of suggestion.
Yeah.
Almost like a cardamom. Just very slight. Very not in front very much at all.
No,
but
I disagree on cardamom.
But very, very slight. Extremely well-made whiskey. I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it.
A couple of years ago, they had the best, one of the highest rated whiskeys in the world.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're doing good things there. So we're going to give this one 3 sips.
Interesting.
So we're going to have Mr. Happy tell us about our next one.
Yes, sir. This is good old boy Mr. Happy. We're talking about Gooderham and Worts 4-grain Canadian whiskey, 44.4% ABV. This whiskey is a blend of 7 distillates. The majority is double column distilled corn whiskey with portions of a single column distilled rye. Barley and red winter wheat whiskeys are also involved, as well as column and pot distilled rye, barley, and wheat whiskeys. Wow, that's a lot of whiskey. The majority of the whiskeys are aged in virgin American oak. I was waiting for the rest of that. The majority of the whiskeys are aged in virgin American oak, with the remainder matured in once-used bourbon casks. Based on the description of this, I really wanted to love this. I didn't love it. Color's golden. The nose is very flowery with a little bit of citrus, a little bit of honey, almost some almond notes. And I'm just smelling it again, maybe because I haven't revisited since we did our first initial tasting notes. Yeah, it hasn't changed much.
It's like a dandelion flower, you know?
Yeah.
If you've been up there north and you smell those dandelions, that's what it reminds me of.
I lived in Winnipeg for 10 years. We had a carpet of dandelions on our front lawn every summer.
And eventually the indictments expired and he was able to come back to the United States.
The indictments haven't expired. That's why I've not gone back to Canada.
No, I was talking about the American ones. The Canadian ones aren't going away.
I left those when I was 13 years old. I couldn't get in too much trouble. My parents visited Miami when we were kids. And we're like, why are we living in Canada? We're walking around in shorts in March. I was like, go back. There's still ice on the floor, ice on the ground in May. But anywho, the palate was honey and orange and lemon. Lots of lemon. This is almost like Fruit Loops with alcohol. This is just very fruity. And I wanted to love this more. The finish was just too short. What do you think, Brent?
Yeah, on that palate, I got Cheerios and an orange. Cheerios and oranges.
It is Fruit Loops, not Cheerios, my friend. I will fight you.
Cheerios and oranges is what I got. When you say the Fruit Loops, and I guess that's why, that's what I got on the palate. And, it's a nice creaminess to it, but it's very short on the finish. Very short on the finish.
Yeah.
I
was expecting more.
Right. It's just, you want more from it. It's just... it's just a blend of 7 distillates. It's just like, oh my God, I'm going to get something really special here and something completely different. And it's just.
Well, you were expecting a symphony. You were expecting the sum of the parts to be greater than the individuals.
You were like, okay, well, I'm going to put all these band members together and we're going to have a party. And it really just kind of like, well, only 2 people showed up for the party.
Yeah, I thought it was very non-complex. It was very simple.
Brent's house. I'm just saying.
It was simple. It was didn't have the layers.
Somebody
of flavor.
poured vodka in my Fruit Loops.
Yeah, it definitely had some cereal notes. It had some creaminess. And I mean, it's well made, but it's just it leaves you wanting more, expecting more. And I like Harmeet. I had really high hopes when I read the description. I thought, oh my gosh, look what's going on. Cool. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
there's so much, and it's like blending a bunch of.
I think we're spoiled with American distillates and Scotch distillates coming off the stills at a lower ABV. With you've got more of the congeners in there. You got those what do you call the oils? What are they called? The fusel oils, right? You've got those other congeners giving more weight, more texture, a little more flavor profile. This is closer to vodka. I mean, it's definitely whiskey, but this high proof coming off the still. Justin, did you? Are we nuts? Did you get a bowl of Fruit Loops too?
I got the Fruit Loop milk.
The Fruit Loop milk.
Yeah, I didn't get the full blown.
So you're that
Fruit
savage
Loops.
that drinks that. Okay.
I think that is a marketing opportunity for a great business. People love the Fruit Loop milk. I got sweet caramel. I think it was a good effort, but I think the people showed up to the party, but they didn't blend. They were all doing solos, and that was okay. What'd you think, Har?
I already talked.
Yeah, Bob?
Fruit Loop milk.
You weren't even born with the sense God gave the common dog.
I really have nowhere to go after something like that. Makes my brain hurt. On the nose,
There was a company, 3 Olives makes a Fruit Loop vodka. This is much better than that. I'll give you that.
I'm getting the flowery, getting a little pear and a little bit of orange on it. On the palate, I get the baking spice.
You have to reach for the bacon spice, man.
Yeah, it's very
not
flowery.
bacon spice.
Yeah.
Bacon spice would be like salt and smoke. Okay.
Sorry, I'm hungry. I said bacon spice. I know. I meant baking.
A little bit of clove in the back, especially in the throat. Getting some vanilla and some caramel. Again, real well made, but when you look at the blend, you're kind of expecting some more of them to poke out. I don't know if this is what they were blending to. If this is what they were blending to, they nailed it. If they were trying to get more character at each one of the distillates, I don't think they got as much. But again, it's Canadian whiskey, and it's generally going to be more mild. So it's just
approachable.
Sort of
it's approachable.
Yeah. I mean, this is, well made, good stuff. So we're going to be giving this 3 sips.
Interesting.
All right. So we're going to have Brent talk to us about the next one.
Thanks, Bob. This expression is a Pike Creek, a 10-year-old rum-finished Canadian whiskey, 42% ABV. This is a historical style of Canadian whiskey. It's approximately 95% double column distilled corn whiskey and 5% single column distilled rye. The whiskeys are then aged in used Canadian whiskey barrels for 10 years and then finished in
Demerara.
Thank you, because I was going to mess that up really bad. You know that. Cask for approximately 100 days.
Demerara rum casks.
Rum casks.
Yes,
The Demerara
the
River
rum
in
cask.
Guyana is the style. Then there's Demerara sugars. What was it? What'd you call it? The darker molasses,
Like
turbinado?
brown sugar.
Dark,
The
brown
darker one's
sugar.
Muscovado. The Demerara is kind of
the
a
lighter?
medium brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a nice dark,
Maury has the whole sugar grading scale in his head.
nice dark color to it on the nose. You just get sugar and molasses. Sugar and molasses.
It's a classic rum profile.
It tastes like rum.
and then on the palate you get molasses and pineapple, and I feel like I'm drinking a rum, and I don't. I mean,
A
it's
sipping rum, a nice sipping rum.
a nice sipping rum, yeah. But that's the problem. I'm supposed to be drinking a whiskey. I'm supposed to be drinking a rye whiskey, and I feel like I'm drinking a rum instead. And I think that
See, now you've fallen prey to that whole misconception about Canadian being rye. You just read that the fact that it's 95% corn, only 5% rye.
right.
But it's interesting, and there's no corn notes. It's really tasted like a grilled pineapple.
Yeah, you got to stop
got
looking
molasses,
for. You got to stop
caramelized
looking
sugar.
for American rye whiskey because
No,
you're
I
not
was-
going to find it in any whiskey in Canada.
No, but if I'm looking for a whiskey, this is not this.
This is
I'm
a
looking.
rum.
This is a rum. This if somebody said, "Oh, is this a whiskey or rum?" If
I'm
they gave it to me and
amazed
said,
100 days in a rum cask gave it this much flavor.
right?
I
This
want
much.
I want to know what rum they used. It's got to be El Dorado probably.
And I think
God, it's
because
so
they use used Canadian whiskey barrels, that it didn't give it that
Too much character.
Yeah, that didn't give
And
it
I
as
think
much
the 10
character.
years, a lot of rums are really young and they're rough, and they could definitely benefit from some age. I think that the 10 years really mellowed this out.
Well, the 10 years wasn't the rum.
No,
10
10
years was
years
the
in a
whiskey.
used whiskey barrel.
10 years
it's
in
a
used whiskey
10-year-old
barrel.
distillate, and then the rum just really gave it all its character.
I mean,
and flavor.
if you base that's a 10-year Scotch, and then you're aging it in rum.
But
a rum
Scotch
barrel.
generally would not be aged in a neutral barrel. I'm thinking the Canadian whiskey barrels were probably closer to neutral, maybe third use.
They
Correct.
might be, yes.
And if they're closer to the higher, the bigger 700 liter size, you're not going to get much oak there. The rum gave this all the character. And I'm not saying it's not bad. It tastes amazing.
It tastes like rum. If somebody gave this to you and you said, "Is this whiskey or is this rum?" and what would you say?
I would say this is freaking rum, man. This
Right,
is good
this
rum.
is not
I would
right.
think it's good rum.
This is rum. It's a good
But
good
if you
rum.
put this in a lineup with a bunch of rums, you might pick this as one of the better rums. It's a great rum. Blind tasting of 6 rums. This might win.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, it's like, okay, they took a way to take whiskey and make rum out of it.
I think
Is what they did.
I think the whiskey they used did not get enough proper oak finishing and from the Canadian
Yeah,
barrels.
you always love the the other products to
But remember that if this thing came off the still at very high proof, at 90 proof,
It's almost vodka at 90
ABV,
proof.
it's like vodka. And now you mellowed it for 10 years and you put in a rum barrel, all the characters are going to come from the rum barrel.
And again, it's marketed as whiskey, so it may be a little bit of
It's a whiskey for rum drinkers.
yeah. In Canada, we were just talking about, again off the air. We said Canada's the number one consumer of rum in the world. And I'm not sure if it's per capita or it's actually.
They're going to love this because they're going to love this because this is a rum.
I've had Pike Creek before, and I've never had this rum barrel before. So I think this is something I'd go out of my way to get, but I'd have to warn people, like you're saying, this is not whiskey like you know it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give this to rum fans.
Yeah, 100%.
They're gonna love it.
Exactly, because you're expecting the rum to enhance, but it overtook it and it turned it into a rum.
Right,
and a nice rum.
No, not bad at all. But it's not what I would consider a whiskey. I mean, I know it's considered a whiskey.
Literally whiskey.
Right. It's rum to me.
Did you like the rum, Justin?
I did.
See?
It had like really nice pineapple notes, had a nice color to it.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't taste as strong as some of the other things in the lineup. And I have some friends that don't drink whiskey. They love rum, and I'd love to give this to them and say, try this. And I think they would drink the whole dram.
I think you make a great pina colada with this. It's definitely got a lot of pineapple notes.
Yes.
It's got that grilled pineapple, molassesy, caramelized sugar note. It'd be fabulous.
I would drink this all day long, but I would be loath to tell people I'm drinking whiskey. It tastes like rum.
Yeah.
Bob, do you agree? Are we nuts?
Just trying to figure out why he has friends that don't drink whiskey. Huh?
I didn't say I have friends who don't drink whiskey. Those people are more acquaintances. My friends drink whiskey.
I have friends that don't drink whiskey.
I have friends, they drink whiskey. My acquaintances drink other things.
Yeah,
I made sure my wife drank scotch before I married her.
Yeah, I think you guys are messed up if you have friends that don't drink whiskey. I won't
That's
let them in
right.
the house.
You guys are allowed on the patio. You can't come in the living room.
Yeah, stay out by the tiki torches, you heathens.
That's right.
Yeah, it's the rum is overpowering. Absolutely. I mean, if you put this down with 4 rums, would I pick it out? Absolutely. I mean, if you're telling me you can't tell that this is different than 4 other rums of a similar color, you're definitely smoking something.
But it's on a table with a bunch of whiskey. It does not belong.
The rum has definitely overpowered it. But again, if you're a rum kind of person, this is a home run.
I can see people going out of their way for
I mean,
this.
100 days in a rum cask. That's
not a lot of time.
That's not a lot of time, and it really took on the rum flavor. I mean, it really did.
That was a wet cask.
That it was a first fill rum cask.
That cask still have a few gallons in it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
Yeah, about 10.
10 to 20 gallons of rum in it.
But that's the thing. If you're looking for something that has got that real rum note to it, I'm with him.
Go for it.
I'd look for this. If I was in I'm in a rum mood. Oh heck yeah, I'd
I
drink
got
the
the
heck
snowbirds who come down here. They're looking for all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I would definitely show them this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're rum drinkers too.
We're going to be rating this one 3 sips.
Interesting.
All right. So the next one we've got is the J.P. Weiser's triple barrel blended Canadian rye. It's 45% ABV. This is a blended whiskey that is made up of a little over 60% single column distilled rye whiskey and a little over 35% column distilled corn whiskey. And then the little bit 2 to 3 points left is pot distilled wheat whiskey. They are aged in 3 different types of barrels: virgin oak, once used bourbon barrels, and used Canadian whiskey barrels. And this was supposedly created specifically for the American market. So I haven't seen it, but my local store is not all that great.
Shut up, Bob.
It's manned by a really surly individual.
Surly Indian. Let me tell you something, Bob.
But on the nose,
when I see your white pasty ass coming there, I look for my knife every time.
When he sees one of us going to the liquor store, he starts reaching for his wallet, going, just throw it in. Is what he's doing. I like to refer to him as my spirit guide. So
That's right.
On the nose, I'm getting I get toasted bread and a little bit of toffee, a little bit of flour, almost like a buttered toasted bread.
No anise. I get star anise with that bread. There's some nice. I get the toasted bread. You're right, but geez, there's anise there. Anybody else get anise?
And on the palate, I get macadamia nuts. I get macadamia nuts. I get vanilla. I get caramel. And I think
now I'm hungry, Bob. Macadamias and bacon spices.
And I'm thinking on the back palate, like a little bit of mint or maybe peppermint. Yeah, I'm thinking it's a little bit of peppermint on the back.
Yeah, you get some peppermint on the nose too. At least I do.
You get peppermint? I don't get it on the nose. Yeah, on the palate. Definitely on the palate.
I got it on the nose as well, right at the end there. But I got cream corn on the nose as well. So
that does not sound appealing to me.
Here, let me hand you a napkin.
Yeah,
just wipe it off.
Wipe it off.
But overall, I mean,
that's purdy, huh? That's real purdy.
Yeah, I like it. It's real nice. I think this had one of the best noses of the ones we've had so far. So
it's opened up with air too.
Yeah, and it's gotten even better since we opened it. I think out of all of these, this is either the best nose or the second best nose of the whole group. So, what do the rest of you guys think?
Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. This is a beautiful creamy mouthfeel to it, you know.
And with creamy mouthfeel, we'll be back. And we're back, and we are talking Canadian whiskey, and right now we're talking about the J.P. Weiser's Triple Barrel Blended Canadian Rye. So what'd you think, Maury?
Well, I would agree with Harmeet. It actually has grown on me since it's been in the glass. It's definitely got that creaminess and that nice mouthfeel. There's definitely some corn. You can tell that it's much higher percentage of corn than perhaps some of the other whiskeys we've had.
Actually, it's not.
Well,
it's exactly
it's less than the Pikes, which was 100%, but it's definitely got more corn flavor because it's not influenced by the rum. But yeah, cream corn is definitely what I'm getting on both the nose and on the palate. It's a nice whiskey, very well made. I got nothing bad to say about it. And
that star anise and peppermint really stand out for me, though.
I don't get the star anise or the peppermint.
I don't get that either. I get the peppermint.
Nobody else got the anise?
I didn't get the anise.
No.
What'd you have for breakfast?
What breakfast, man? I can't
Indian
right
food.
Corn pops.
Never mind.
Justin, what'd you think?
I had a bowl of Fruit Loops in the previous one.
I think that it smells exactly like it is the
Okay, so much for that comment.
corn.
Okay,
it's profound.
Your seven words are done.
Can I get you beer, back bacon?
Yeah. Something else?
Spicy, simple, it's pleasant.
Pleasant and simple.
I would not kick this out of my glass.
That's pretty much the nickname we have for him. Hey, has anybody seen Pleasant and Simple? Yeah, I think he's out in the backyard watching the dog go to the bathroom or something. Yeah. He's standing there watching the burgers on the grill. That was his mom's pet name for him when he was a baby. So
you people are so evil, so mean.
Well, what did you think, smart guy?
Yeah.
What? I mean, I've been interjecting the whole time. I can't not talk to you people. You start talking, it's like, what? Wait, I'm sorry. I know I interrupt people, but whatever.
You know, the things we wish.
I can't wait for you to finish talking.
This is against all regulations.
You're making Colonel Klink very unhappy.
I loved that show when I was a kid.
You're going to make him very unhappy.
I have to get my Hulu account up to date or something.
Take it easy.
I was very impressed with this whiskey, and I wasn't expecting to be. This brought the promise of the one that was with the 7. That was it, the Gooderham and Worts.
Yeah.
This brought the promise that missed on.
It's got the cereal notes to it still.
Yeah, cereal.
They all tend to have those cereal notes of one flavor or another. Fruit Loops, Cheerios, Corn Pops.
When I think of cereal
Which
notes,
cereal did you have this morning, Brent?
Cereal notes to me are like malted barley and corn and wheat. And when Brent talks about cereal notes, he means like Frosted Flakes and Raisin Bran.
He's looking at Fruit Loops and Kabooms and King Vitamin.
You know what? I'm missing the Count Chocula in this one. Yeah. That's the problem.
Getting no Fruity Pebbles at all.
I did not get the Fruit Loop milk in it. That's for sure.
You gotta look for it.
You know what? Have you?
Nobody ever talks about Blueberry anymore. What happened to
Have
Blueberry?
you brushed your teeth since Friday night? We had for dessert. We had pancakes with Lucky Charms in them. Did you brush your teeth? Maybe you're still picking that up.
They were burnt pancakes.
Yeah, you still ate them.
Oh, I did not.
Do we have a rating for this whiskey, Bobby? Bobby Joe?
We have 3 sips.
Interesting.
I think that's low. Under protest.
Yeah, under protest, but mob rules. What can you say?
go.
All right, so we're going to have Justin tell us about our next one.
J.P. Weiser's 15-year Canadian whiskey. It's 40% alcohol by volume. Another historical style of Canadian rye, mostly corn with a little bit of rye.
What they call rye in Canada.
It is
And Canadian bacon, that's ham.
right.
That's the secret.
Well, they don't know what Canadian bacon is in Canada.
Yeah, what we call Canadian bacon is not.
Yeah,
They don't call it Canadian bacon.
they call it ham.
It's ham.
It's okay. They don't know what French fries are in France.
Right.
That's true.
We, for a while we called them freedom fries.
I
but
know. That's
now we're
'cause
back
we
to
were
French fries.
anti-French for a while.
Yeah. It is made approximately of 95% double column distilled corn whiskey. The whiskey's
Reading
getting
is
to me,
new.
people. And 5% single column distilled rye whiskey. The whiskeys are aged in once used bourbon casks and virgin American oak.
Did you know they don't have English muffins in England?
That's very sad.
They're just
Were they
called
crumpets? Nah.
They call them crumpets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have fortune cookies in China. We could do this all day.
But they're not called Chinese cookies. They're called fortune cookies.
But you know what they do have in Japan, don't you?
Sushi.
Japanese whiskey.
Gozira.
Yes.
Don't make Godzilla angry.
Gozira.
So I thought that the nose on this spirit reminded me of Lum's Burger Spice that we had the other day at Bob's house. And
Did anyone else listening to the radio show know what you're talking about?
well, Lum's Burgers is a chain that was it, US or just Florida? They made hamburgers.
Florida.
And they had a
all over-
specific
all over the US.
spice. If they were all over the US, it's fair game. And it had this complex spice that was unique to their burgers, and it reminds me of that.
Ollie Burgers.
Yeah. And it had a spicy nose to it. The finish was medium long. And Maury's about to take a sip, so I'm going to ask him what he thought.
Thank you. Just wait till I take a sip. Well,
Wait till the glass is to his lips.
honestly, I
Well, I
couldn't.
guess that makes our naughty parts tingle.
I couldn't disagree more. To me, this tastes like a very simple, unsophisticated entry-level bourbon.
And if there's something he knows, it's simple. Trust
And
me.
unsophisticated.
It's simple.
I thought I was pleasant and simple. But go ahead.
It is simple. It is relatively one note. It's nice. It's pleasant. It's not offensive, but it just, I looked at the bottles. I was really impressed by the packaging. They're heavy weighted glass square bottles. They look very expensive and impressive, and the labeling is beautiful. And the last expression from them was quite nice. But
and you
honestly,
see
this
15
one-
years old on that. You think,
yeah,
oh,
and
it's
you're
going to
getting
be something
excited.
special.
It is just as ordinary can be.
I think they did this a disservice by only bottling it at 80%.
I think you're 100%
Yeah.
right. Brent.
You know, I mean, if you let something age for 15 years, you need to
Not water it down.
not right. You need to show that show its age. And
But then you have somebody in the executive department who wants to make extra money and get his bonus.
Yeah, they want to
I'll
water
make
down.
extra barrels by watering it down.
But
And
I mean,
that's
it's got
the
a nice,
problem.
it's got a nice creamy mouthfeel, and it's got
They
the
spoiled it by
molasses,
putting it
the
that
honey, those cereal notes to it and things. And it's just very a 15-year ordinary
92 proof would have brought so much flavor here.
Yeah. I mean,
Just tasting an ordinary American bourbon that's on the middle shelf.
I think the 80 proof really
It's a little on the sweet side. For me,
really
actually.
did it a disservice. I mean, it's like, listen, I have this 15-year. Why would I do that?
What works in the boardroom doesn't work in the basement.
Right.
Well said.
I mean, if you were going to make it like an
Counselor.
8-year and you did this and it made it 80 proof, okay, that's one thing. But it's, you got a 15-year, you got a nice 15-year product here. Let's put a little bit of oomph behind it. That's not, it's almost like they babied this, when they wanted to put it out. They're like, oh, we want it for, we want to just like take it easy and just make it for.
Are they afraid of flavor?
That's kind of what it
maybe
looked
they
like.
just need a lesson. I just think they're taking it off as vodka. The still at a very high proof.
I have a hard time believing that the master distiller or master blender would want this to be out at 80 proof. I think this was a business decision. we can make more of it if we put water in it.
Also, 80-90% of people that drink don't want to burn. It's going to alienate them. There's the hardcore people like us that really love bold, strong flavors, and a lot of people.
Well, we are
milk.
proof horse. I mean,
Yeah.
But somebody's going to take this one and they're just going to mix it with the Coke or
it's going to go away
or ginger ale or whatever, and it's just going to. I mean,
might work with a ginger ale,
and it's going to be like it's like 15 years of this greatness just got washed away by a Coke or a ginger ale.
People do it. People do it all over the world.
I know that, but there's
no
that's what you
wrong
want
way
do
to
with,
enjoy your whiskey.
There is, and I'm pointing and judging. I'm judging you all.
I judge.
Right, but
That's pretty much all I have left at this point in my life.
this judgment.
Pork fat and judging others. I mean, really, what else is there? Once you pass 50, that's about it.
Yeah.
But when you age something that long, you want to highlight it. You want to show it off. You want to
show off what you did.
You want to prance it around, and you want And they did a disservice. That's all I want to say about it. I
don't know about you guys. You're talking about. I am definitely afraid of flavor. Last time I saw that guy, he had the big clock hanging around his neck, big giant gold teeth, crackhead. That's scary.
Flavor Flav.
Yeah, I don't want that guy in my house hanging out with my kids. Come on.
His wife's scary.
I hear he's pretty nice actually in person.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's a little bit odd looking. Somebody needs to buy him a wristwatch.
See, you judge on looks. I judge on taste. See,
how does he taste?
Born with the sense God gave the common dog.
Well, thank
you. All right, Bob, how'd we rate this?
We gave this 3 sips.
Interesting.
Too high.
So we're on to the last one, which is the 18. So that being you.
Oh,
the one who's sitting there staring at me with that vacant look.
I'm waiting for you to
Hold on. Let me get back to that button.
I'm waiting for you to introduce me
you
properly.
You weren't even born with the sense God gave the common dog.
Okay.
Good old boy Maury is going to tell us about the last whiskey on today's list.
That comment. All right, here we go. The last whiskey is the J.P. Weiser's 18.
You're making Godzilla very angry.
The 18 tier, as Bob would say, but otherwise known as the 18-year Canadian whiskey. It, too, is 40% ABV. It comes in a very similar package to the 15-year. This one, except, is 100% double column distilled, corn whiskey, aged in used Canadian whiskey barrels.
No rye whatsoever, no other flavor.
No other flavor green, no rye, no nothing.
If you put everything in a used Canadian whiskey barrel, where does the used Canadian whiskey barrel come from? It's like that chicken and egg thing.
That's right.
It's like where are they coming from?
100 proof.
I will cut you. Mellocorn is gross.
It is 40. It is 40% ABV again.
I'm judging.
I think a lot of the same comments apply. You want to love it. It's 18 years. It's a beautiful package. It should be a step up from the 15, and perhaps it's got a hint more sophistication, but it really lacks the flavor grains and the layers of complexity that you're used to in an 18-year-old whiskey. It's pleasant. It's nice. I would consider it entry level. But I just don't know that the price point, wherever
it's a girl
that may
you
lie,
date, not marry.
Yeah,
She's
price
pretty.
point will merit anybody running out and buying it. What do you think, Brent?
Yeah, I mean, the nose is really nice. It's got vanillas, peppers. I get bananas. I get fresh biscuits, and then on the palate,
you were right.
And then on the palate, I get all that same stuff. I get that full creaminess.
But it's muted.
The full creaminess and the vanilla, the bananas, I get the same. It just follows through, and it's a nice finish to it as well. But
it's watered down,
short finish, watered down.
Yeah, I mean it is nice, But I'm like, okay, I see something 18 years. I'm like, okay, come on, baby, bring it on, and that's not what I got. I got something that's very much a 6 to 8 year, what I expect a 6 to 8 year whiskey to taste like, not an 18 year.
I think they put this out at 80 proof because people think 15-year-old whiskey, 18-year-old whiskey, it's got to be so super smooth. You know what?
Maybe they think.
And then when people come to the store and they ask me I want something that's just smooth. It's like, oh, so you don't really know whiskey? You just want you want vodka or water. It's not just about being smooth. It's about complexity and flavor, and
This is super approachable. I mean,
This is for the mass market.
Right.
It's for the mass market.
Super approachable, and so, maybe that's what they're going for, the mass market like that.
Right.
That probably a table full of geeks here.
Beginner, entry level, whatever you want to call it. It's a very nice, approachable whiskey. It just lacks sophistication.
And it's not offensive, So
no, I've never.
Not
we
at
don't
all.
want
Right,
a call
exactly.
girl. We want a courtesan.
Exactly, but
Education to go with
and
it.
it's not the other thing. It's not like it's not what when you have a corn whiskey from, it's not that at all. So they've kind of gone away from that flavor of just a corn whiskey.
Yeah, I was being rough on them when I said that.
Yeah, they've really stepped it up as far as changing the flavor of a corn whiskey. They've done that. So
they're taking all the rough edges off.
They have.
Whiskey. Yeah. If that's what you want.
You're going to lose that corny note after
15
or 18 years in a barrel. that 100% corn, 1 or 2 year old corn whiskey. You're not going to get that flavor out of it after that much time. I don't care what kind of a used barrel you put it in. That's going to eventually mellow out.
It's like you were saying. It's almost like banana pudding with a little shot of extra caramel. It's pretty. It's very pretty. Nothing wrong with it.
What do you think, Justin?
I think when you drink this and you belch later, you're going to get the corny note because it's going to mix with the alcohol in your esophagus.
Banana notes. You're going to get the banana notes.
So it's going to be better on the way up than on the way down.
You're so weird, Justin. You are so weird. You let him in your house, Bob? You let him in the basement? What's going on?
I let you in.
It's not bad.
I really appreciated the belch I had later.
He's simple and pleasant. Leave him alone. He's already 2 things more than you are. So,
oh, jeez.
It's simple and pleasant and stupid and grumpy. So,
come on.
He's got 4 of the dwarves here. It's like, good Lord.
It's a part of the finish we never talk about.
Yeah. The belch.
The belch. Afterwards.
Maybe we should be on the Suds episode.
No, we're not.
Yes, the Suds episode.
Beer, right? Beer is a belch.
And get a different rating. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't belch whiskey. I don't know.
You don't?
No.
Not until later in the evening.
Yeah, right. Later.
I am giving you that look that you are full of it. Yeah, okay.
Later.
Yeah, please.
I don't know. I thought it was sleep on the bed.
I thought it was nice. I think they did both of these a disservice watering them down to 80 proof. Oh, God. I really do. I hate
There's nothing wrong with these whiskeys except they water them down.
I don't like anything really much at 80 proof. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not Canadian or anything. It just 80 proof is just too much water.
Rating?
3 sips.
Damn.
Interesting.
This deserved the 3 sips at least.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. You can catch all of our episodes where you found this one, as well as on terrestrial and satellite radio, online at iTunes, Google Play, iHeartradio, CBS Radio, radio.com, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, and PRX, and anywhere else you can find a podcast. The easiest way to find this show is to ask your phone, Alexa, Siri, or whoever the lady is that answers when you talk to it, play podcast, Sip, Suds, and Smokes. When I talk to mine, I hear the voice of Damien. But we love your feedback.
In your head.
Yeah, oh, that's right. I keep forgetting. We love your feedback. You can reach us online at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com.
Please give us an email about how much you hated this episode and hate us and love Canada. And
well, they do send me those about you all the time. I just don't give them to you because I
got some nice reviews.
Don't want to crush you. Our daily tasting notes fly out on Twitter every day at Sip, Suds, and Smokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. You can also check us out on Instagram at Sip, Suds, and Smokes or at Made Man Bob. Do us a favor and please take the time to rate this episode. Don't put Harmeet in the ratings. Just the rest of us.
So rude, Bob.
So I want to thank our co-hosts. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you. I see the hockey game is almost over. It's scoreless. 3rd period.
So like a hockey game.
Never mind. Thank you, Maury.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for that amazing Canadian maple syrup. And I love the maple leaf shaped maple sugar candies.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you for the whiskey tour of the Great Wide North. Take off.
And thank you, Harm.
Thanks for having me. I'm an American now, but I may go back to Canada now.
Build that wall.
Please.
Build that wall. Yeah. Just build a wall around his house, please, because none of us want to deal with him.
Are the Jets still in Winnipeg? I remember the Jets. I got to go back.
This is Madman Bob reminding you, life is too short to drink bad whiskey.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.